will be talking or will be presenting about the book I have selected for class. So this book is called Healing from Infidelity by Michelle Weiner Davis, and my name is Karina Lazalde. So the reason I selected this book primarily was because this semester I started my practicum, and I got a couple who came to my office or came to session, and when their initial problem was parenting issues and not being able to communicate. However, by the second session, they did mention to me that the issues started after one of the partners did have an affair. So, of course, when we started taking this class, and then the professors gave a list of the books, after talking to Professor Walker, she did recommend for me to read this book so I could go ahead and get more education and know how to handle this situation. So that's the reason I did select this book. Now, a summary about what the book is. Healing from Infidelity, again by Michelle Weiner Davis, is a therapeutic research grounded in experience and evidence-based practices. As a respected couples therapist and author, Weiner Davis offers a step-by-step guide for individuals and couples seeking to rebuild their relationship in the aftermath of an affair. While she does express support for working through infidelity within the toxic context of maintaining the relationship or the marriage, the book does emphasize autonomy and respect for each partner's personal journey, recognizing and respecting individual experiences. Now, some other topics covered do include the use of I statements, cultivating self-care, exploring forgiveness, and navigating through sexual reconnection. These elements do aim to foster emotional healing and clarity, whether the couple does choose to stay together or separate. So as you will see here in the next slide, what I mentioned with step by step is that this book is divided into different parts. Every chapter has a purpose, has its goals, and it is intended for every individual from the couple. Now, the introduction, pretty much it's an introduction of who the author is, her experience. Like I mentioned, she is a well-respected therapist and author. She has written other texts that have been beneficial for couples in different aspects. And then the chapter 2 is a little bit more of like Q&As, including like what is an affair, just understanding what infidelity is overall. Should you talk about it? With whom should you talk about it? Any questions that do come up with infidelity, you're going to find them in that section. Part 2, chapter 3 is for the betrayed spouse. So that part is about validating. The author validates the emotions going towards a betrayed spouse. Should you talk about it? Should you have a time limit? What to expect throughout this journey of working together as a couple and healing through the affair to work for the marriage, and also encouraging the self-care practices. Chapter 4, on the other hand, it's for the unfaithful partner. Again, it's just the encouragement to end the affair, talking about the affair with their spouse, what to expect within the same process, having empathy for their partner in the process, and also having the partner explore the reasoning behind the affair so there could be a foundation to continue the rebuilding of the relationship in itself. Part 3 is the rebuilding trust and intimacy. Chapter 5 and 6, as you see right there, have its specific audience, betrayed spouse or unfaithful partner. And both of these chapters do talk about what to do to improve the relationship once the affair has been talked about, how to improve communication from both sides, And also it starts talking about forgiveness. Part 4 is talking about for those individuals that are dealing through the process by themselves, either because the unfaithful partner doesn't want to end the affair, or the betrayed spouse does not want to continue the relationship because the affair is a situation that is non-negotiable. So it does talk about how to go about those situations if you're either there for the betrayed spouse or the unfaithful partner. Part 5 is for those individuals. Once you have already talked about the different steps and the different topics discussed previously, it's talking about the different things that one should take care of once you're in that relationship. It's developing that peer care and doing things that are going to generate a healthier relationship with your partner. And lastly, it's the resources. It's providing a list of the different books and different material that the couple can continue to read to keep getting educated and to building a stronger relationship and dynamic. So my general impression of the book is that, of course, this book is a very useful resource for couples that are interested in working in the relationship after the affair. Like I mentioned, this book is intended for couples that have been in an affair. Um, the couples can read this book by themselves. They do not need a therapist because of the way it is written. It is very step by step. But it could also be a resource for within therapy sessions, both for the couple and also for the therapist in case you're trying to get more educated, like myself, on knowing how to handle these situations. Now, this book is biased towards keeping the relationship or the marriage while also keeping a neutral language. So that is also very something that I did like about the book, is because it didn't target any specific individual. It was very neutral in the language, like for example, stating the betrayed spouse or the unfaithful partner. So it's very direct without targeting or making anybody feel judged. It is also written in a way to provide guidance for each individual in the relationship. So overall, this is a couples book, but chapter by chapter, we see how it's intended for each individual for personal healing, and then bring it together for the purposes of the couple. But individual healing can be attained as well. The book does provide clear purposes of the intent of the book and also for each chapter. So like I outlined before, every chapter has its purpose. It mentions for who it's intended, and it continues to demonstrate that. And lastly, another thing that I did like from the book is that it does provide references for other resources like the 5 love languages, focus exercises, and it does reference other books that could be used for the couple. It does seem to be well written, and like I mentioned, it is based on experience and on research that the author has been able to provide within the text. What I have learned is, like I mentioned, one of the things that I mostly learned is that that growth and healing in the relationship or the marriage is possible after an affair. Personally, I was biased before reading the book and I didn't believe this was possible. However, after reading the text, I do see this being something that can be managed. And that is one of my major takes from reading the book. Another thing is self-care to heal is very important. So before working on the couple and dealing with a relationship or anything, self-care is very much needed for each individual so they could continue their growth and their discovery for the purposes of the relationship. Next step is I statements. I learned about the I statements before we got introduced to them in class. The I statements reflect I feel, I understand, or just communicating with the I. I also re-explored the 5 love languages and the different type of things to watch out when you're trying to do a pair care practice with a couple. And lastly, procedures to help the clients becoming sexually intimate again. I know that we did read some other texts within the class, but if I'm just reading the book in itself, I think this book provides the education and the resources so we could go ahead and start that intimacy without having to look anywhere else. Now, I think all of these factors or all of this information is very helpful and beneficial for my profession because it gives me a, like I mentioned before, it's giving me a step by step on how to handle this situation and what to target before talking about the affair, or how to deal with individual healing and couples healing all together. Now, this is something, a book that I really did enjoy, and I will probably be recommending to my couples so they could go ahead and start working on their growth outside of session and within the session walls as well. So some of the strengths, of course, the major strength is the author has many years of experience. Like I mentioned, she has written many other books. She has been a therapist, so her experience does talk, and she has been able to provide those evidence-based practices into one book, providing a very helpful resource. This book is pro-marriage, and she states this since the beginning. So for those couples that are having issues, don't go to therapy or not interested in going to therapy, but are interested in reading, can just go online and find books about pro-marriage, about having an affair, and you're gonna find this book very easily. So that's another great strength. She makes it very notable. So anybody that is interested in looking for resources that are going to help them, it's going to guide them directly to this. Another strength is focuses on individual healing, thus providing guidance to each partner. Like I mentioned before, yes, the focus is as a couple, but every chapter is divided to help individuals heal and be ready for the next step, allowing for autonomy and respecting the time that everybody does need for that healing process. The benefit is the separation in sections, but couple is encouraged to read both parts. Like I said before, even though they are separated, everybody is encouraged to read the other part so everybody can know what's going on. It does also, another strength is that it offers information on other resources like the other books, the 5 love languages, and other contexts on other texts that the couple can read individually or together. And the weakness would be the author is biased, like I mentioned, as a strength. She is pro relationship or marriage after the affair. So, for those individuals that are not wanting to work for the relationship after an affair, it could be a little bit more difficult of a read just because of that stand. But overall, the author does let it be known that that is her stance. So, and then, so my expectations for the book before reading it was just to get guidance and get education on how to treat couples that have been going through an affair. That way I can know how to handle the situation. And I do feel that the book has helped me to become more competent and get more education in this area. And well, thank you very much for seeing my presentation.